Welcome back. We all loved gardening. Most of us do anyways, but there's a huge list of things that you need to know about plants, flowers, shrubs that aren't the greatest things to plant, and certainly if you see them, you want to get rid of them. Mike Diedel's joining us today. He is the TNRD Invasive Plant Management Coordinator. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I wasn't aware that there were so many flowers, plants, and shrubs, all separate categories, but a ton of things on the list.
Yeah.
Of things that you should be careful about.
Yeah, there's so many plants. A lot of them, some of them were brought in on purpose as ornamentals, and they become invasive. Some of them were advertised as fast spreading, produce lots of seed, and so people plant them because they're cheap and easy and they spread, and then they've taken over and they're hard to get rid of. Some of the examples we'll talk about include baby's breath, which everybody knows is flower.
And I would never have thought baby's breath is a threat to other plants, right? Is the biggest reason these ones like baby's breath make the list is because they are invading the space of a more native plant that we want to see growing here?
That's the concern.
Okay.
That's the concern. Is a weed is a plant growing where you don't want it, and baby's breath is a useful plant. But if it starts taking over the landscape and disturbing habitat, reducing production, then it becomes a problem.
Sure, and that's Exhibit A. We're going to take a look at some baby's breath here. This is how it looks in the wild. It doesn't look like this in the bouquet of roses that you might get sent on Valentine's Day, Mike, but it grows up into quite a big bush.
Yeah, and every one of those flowers produces seeds, and it looks like your classic tumbleweed. And so when that plant, the top of it dies off and blows around, then it spreads those seeds wherever it carries.
So it's a very fast regenerator?
So it's very fast. And a few years ago, we didn't see that much. There was a little bit in Pritchard and a little bit in Savinol on the railway, but it's becoming a major concern now and starting to spread a lot more in those areas. And I'm seeing it around Merritt, all sorts of country here. And it might be something that we have to elevate a little bit because of that. So when it comes to planting in your garden, if you're encouraging it to spread, and it could spread to the hills around you. And your neighbors,
Not a good idea.
No.
Okay, the next one is called common tansy. It looks pretty enough, and we have one of these on the set, I think, right now with us, don't we?
Well, actually, what I've done, there's a thing called PlantWise BC, and it talks about species like common tansy. Common tansy is quite common in the North Okanagan, and if you go through near Agassiz, down towards the coast right now, you'll see yellow flowers all along the side of the road, and a lot of that is common tansy. The PlantWise book will recommend alternatives for planting. So I've seen tansy in gardens around Kamloops, but you'll also see this, which is an achillea, there's a native yarrow. This is a landscape version, and they come in different colors, and this one's yellow, and you'll see quite a bit of that around here. It looks like tansy, so you can use it in the same way. But it's not invasive in the landscape.
So be sure what you're choosing before you choose it. What is the common tansy's problem? Why is that considered a threat to other ecosystem plants?
Again, it takes over pastures, but it is also poison to both livestock and humans if consumed in large enough quantities. So you're not likely to get be out there eating a lot of tansy, but for livestock, if it ended up in hay or whatever, it could end up being a problem that way. Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, Dalmatian Toadflax.
And that one I also do have a live one here, but toadflax, it really spread rapidly in the Kamloops area 20 years ago or so. And currently we have a fairly good biocontrol on it, a bug that we've released to control it, and it does a pretty good job. So here's our live version of toadflax. At this time of year, it tends to branch off more than the picture might have looked. And quite often around here, you'll see little black bugs on it. But again, it's like a snapdragon. So like your snapdragons that you might plant in your garden, it's the same family. So some people see this, they leave it, and they might even spread it, and it spreads by the roots, and so it can take over and be very difficult to get rid of.
Okay, and why is it not well liked?
Again, it will take over grass. In areas it did take over native grasslands here before the bugs got a bit of a handle on it, and so,
Would it be fair to say we're not going to see any of these for sale in our local gardening stores?
Well, one of the ones we're going to talk about, and one of the reasons we sent out a press release which initiated this discussion was one that we'll be talking about, I think it's pretty soon up here, flowering rush.
That's the next one.
There we go.
Let's look at it. See, that looks pretty enough.
It looks beautiful, and a lot of your wetland plants, people have ponds and things, and they look for something to plant in the wetland in their ponds. And so flowering rush was reportedly being sold in some nurseries in BC this year, but it's only known in a couple of locations. So if it moves from your wetlands into the wetlands in the surrounding countryside, then it spreads like crazy. And it disturbs native habitat and spreads rapidly, and it's known as one of the top 5 invasive plants as far as impacts in Canada.
Okay.
And it's only known in a couple spots in BC. So if you see a flowering rush, don't don't buy it.
Just walk away.
Yeah, just walk away.
Okay.
And actually, if you see something like that, tell us.
Sure.
Because we don't want to
know
see
about it.
We don't want to see it being sold.
We have 2 more to get through in about 45 seconds. Orange hawkweed. This is another one. It's pretty, but obviously a problem.
Yeah, it's really taken over in the north part and out towards Revelstoke. It's really bad. It does show up in patches around here. I've seen it in gardens, including friends' gardens, because it's a beautiful color. And it was imported from Europe as a ornamental.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And then this final one here, another yellow one, yellow flag iris.
Yeah, yellow flag iris, again, it's an iris. It was planted as an ornamental, and it's taken over around Dutch Lake in Clearwater.
Yeah.
And there's reports of it at Pinnetan, so we'll be looking into that. Again, takes over native habitats, spreads, and very difficult to control once it's in water.
Wow. So this is your job. You go around making sure we're trying to keep things together.
That's part of my job.
That's busy.
Yeah, it is a busy job. It's a fairly new job for me.
And you are helping to educate the public because coming up in Merritt, you are actually putting on a bit of a seminar, is that
Yes,
right?
this Monday in Merritt at 9 o'clock at Lundbaum, just south of Merritt on 97C. We're having an invasive plant day sponsored by the Thompson Nickel Invasive Plant Management Committee, along with our partners in government, First Nations, etc., and with ranchers. We'll have well over 50 people there. I'm expecting 70 or 80 out there now.
That's awesome.
To talk about weeds, mechanical, biological, chemical control, and grazing of weeds.
Okay, the knowledge is power when it comes to stuff like this.
If people are interested in coming, there is a link that they can get hold of me to talk about that.
Okay, can they go to beplantwise.ca? Is that a good place, or the email?
The email will work.
That's yours. Okay.
The email work, yes.
That is Mike's email address. So if you're interested in attending, is this coming Monday in Merritt? Mike, we're going to have you back on the show. I want to do more of this. I think it's very interesting.
Thanks a lot.
We'll talk plants and shrubs next time.
Great.
Okay,
Happy to be here.
fantastic. Yeah.
Thanks, Susan.
Quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.